Right now on the National Weather Desk, possible tropical cyclone. Another storm is brewing off the U.S. southeastern coast. We'll bring you the latest forecast and lasting flooding effects. We'll look at why some people in Rhode Island are dealing with flooding a week after intense storms.
I'm at a loss for words because I'm so upset.
Tomorrow marks the first day of fall. We'll get an in-depth look at what causes the seasonal changes.
The significance behind the autumn season has to do with Earth's axis, which is pointed towards the North Star, Polaris, at a 23.4-degree angle.
Plus tips on how to deal with those seasonal fall allergies.
So what I would want people to do is understand you do have a really good decongestant option.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Another storm is brewing on the southeastern coast and many could feel it later today. We have meteorologist Brian Vandergraff tracking that system for us. Good morning, Brian.
Very good morning, Angela. Yeah, we're talking about potential tropical cyclone 16 churning here off the southeast coast, right off the coast of the Carolinas. 80% chance from the National Hurricane Center this gets upgraded to tropical storm Ophelia later on today. Let's talk about it. As of the 8 o'clock update, we're talking 50-mile-an-hour winds, gusts to 65. It is moving due north at 14. And what we're going to watch here as this system continues to push northward, winds, rain, and higher surf felt from the Carolinas northward up into the Chesapeake Bay and all the way up towards the mid-Atlantic, portions New Jersey, New York, including Philadelphia. We'll be watching this carefully over the coming days. Wind, rain, and high surf, all factors for the eastern seaboard. Angela?
All right, thanks, Brian. We'll be keeping up with this storm all weekend long. We'll have the latest information available on our social media platforms, along with posts from our reporters and all of our meteorologists on the ground. You can find us on all social media platforms by searching the National Weather Desk. And now to California, where storm recovery and reconstruction continue in the town of Capitola, where severe storms in January left behind really here. You can see it there, a broken mess. Brisa Colin has an update on the progress and why it's taking simply so long.
Staging machinery, equipment, and materials. Construction crews have mobilized on the Capitola Wharf to begin construction.
Especially from here, I'm looking at it every day, you know. I can see the wharf and it breaks my heart just sitting there. I wish I could go to sleep and wake up when it's open.
The damage, a daily reminder of the destruction from this year's storms. An iconic landmark, unrecognizable.
I got a call saying the wharf had been destroyed, so I was watching on live television the whole thing. And I only was able to watch half of it because I couldn't really handle it without crying a bunch.
Construction kicking off the city's plan to not just repair storm damage, but make it more resilient against future weather events. The wharf's closure still affecting the community heavily reliant on tourism business.
The big holidays that just passed wasn't quite as busy as they should have been. And I think a lot of people from outside the area think that the beach is still closed. But it's not.
The repairs are fully funded with Capitola Measure F money and grants from both the state and federal government, while enhancements like a new entryway, seating, art, and lighting are funded by community donations.
Everybody has a story. You know, we call it the heartbeat of Capitola, and it's just amazing. And that outpouring of support that we're getting from the local community is just amazing.
And flooding from heavy rainstorms in Rhode Island turned part of Providence into a lake last week. But it wasn't until this week that some people found out they were actually impacted by the flooding. Kelly Demowski has the story.
A look inside Hendry Sir Jacomi's Providence storage unit is heartbreaking.
If you feel it, it's moist, it's damp.
It's packed to the brim with life memories, personal photos, furniture, and appliances. But much of that is headed to the trash can.
I'm at a loss for words because I'm so upset.
Sir Jacomi says about a quarter of the belongings you see here suffered water damage from last Monday's torrential flash flooding that turned Branch Avenue into a river. He thinks about 6 inches of that water got into his first-floor storage unit on the same street, which left behind mud, water damage, and mold.
This picture was right here against the wall, and you can see the damage comes up to about here. It's ruined. I can't repair that, I can't fix that.
But he says he just found out about the damage when the storage company called him to tell him the facility might have experienced some flooding.
I have a grievance with the fact that they waited so long to notify us. Because if you have property that's wet and damaged, time is of the essence. So the longer you wait, the more it's going to be susceptible to mold and that kind of thing. And you want to go in there, you want to try to clean it, dry it off as fast as you can.
He's rented the unit for 15 years, and it costs him about $250 a month. He's now hoping for something to make him and other affected renters whole again. Sir Giacomi says he's got work to do.
And I have to go in and I have to take time out of work to go through all of this stuff and throw a lot of my personal belongings away.
And a renewed warning from officials about the spotted lanternfly. If you see one, it's not a good thing. They can eat away at crops that take years to grow back. There have been an explosion in how many are being seen in the Washington, D.C. area. Meteorologist Veronica Johnson has more.
The adults, which are more prominent, are active right now. They are mating. And so right now, males and females are flying around trying to find each other and are clustering in large numbers.
It's been 9 years since the spotted lanternfly was first identified in the U.S. in Berks County, Pennsylvania.
These guys are mainly threats at vineyards, orchards, and nurseries where their feeding, especially in large numbers, can reduce viability of the plants. And in vineyards, they can actually kill the vines. In those places, it could take 5 years to get those vines back after they die.
Take a look at the quick spread of the spotted lanternflies in the DMV and neighboring states over the last 5 years. We've seen the biggest increase in Maryland with nearly double the count.
Spotted lanternfly has already been found in 14 different states, including the District of Columbia. But the real troubling news for folks here in the DMV is that almost everywhere where they occur, their numbers are rising.
So each year we're seeing more of the spotted lanternflies. For fall hikers like me, check your gear before coming indoors.
So if you're anywhere where you see signs saying spotted lanternflies around, I'd give your clothing and your backpack a quick check before throwing it in the car.
Good news, if you spot them indoors, they won't harm you. They don't bite or make your pet sick. So around our homes, they're just a nuisance pest. If you find one, send it to your county extension agent, or the state has its own registry for reporting the incidences of spotted lanternflies. Submit both and squish the lanternfly if you can.
Oof. It's that time of the year when seasonal allergies start to kick in. Chloe Mesogita spoke with experts about the best way to avoid autumn allergies.
Dr. Steve Maceo says many of the patients walking through his doors are battling seasonal allergies, which typically start in September or October.
It's an overreaction of the immune system. So you get exposed to ragweed or to a grass or tree pollen, and the immune system is just overreacting to that. And that's why you get the inflammation and watery itchy eyes and sneezing.
He adds weather can contribute to flare-ups as well.
We're going to get some hot days coming up too, so that may aggravate some of the allergies, because especially if you get an uptick in the wind, it starts blowing pollen around, leaves around.
And while the timing is out of your control, it's best to be proactive in prevention. Dr. Maceo says there's a few steps you can take, starting with hygiene.
I will tell them to change up their toothbrush. If they had their toothbrush for a while, if you're carrying some germs on that toothbrush, maybe change it out when you get a sore throat and get a fresh toothbrush.
Other treatment methods are found at the pharmacy.
So what I would want people to do is understand you do have a really good decongestant option of Sudafed. You just have to go up to the pharmacy counter and ask for it.
And another way to fight off these allergies?
Good exercise, sleep, diet. It may stabilize your immune system so it doesn't overreact as much. So that's always in the equation of health.
Maceo says if you notice some severe flare-ups, it's best to visit your allergist.
And who needs a weather forecaster? We have persimmon seeds. Farmers in Missouri are looking for clues about the coming winter by studying native persimmon seeds. They say this year the seeds are predicting a snowy winter season. It works like this. After cutting the shell along the seam, look at the shape of the little embryo plant inside the seed. If it's shaped like a spoon, then you're going to have a snowy winter. The shape of a knife means a windy winter, and a fork shape predicts a warmer, more pleasant winter. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, the weekend, a NASA mission to collect asteroid samples from space will be returning to Earth. You'll hear from an expert about what they hope to learn, and we'll get an in-depth look at what causes Earth's seasonal changes.
looking at a mostly dry Friday all throughout New England, but more in the way of clouds down to our south. As we head through Friday night and especially on Saturday, areas in southern New England need to keep an eye on some potential heavy rainfall as we are looking at a storm down to our south. Notice yellows and reds and oranges showing the potential for some very heavy rainfall for the day Saturday. High temperatures for today going to run in the 60s down towards the coast, low to mid 70s inland.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Starting off mainly dry up and down the 95 corridor on Friday, but notice especially south and east first, getting the rain that's moving in. This is what potentially could be Ophelia. Lots of wind, lots of rain, even some coastal flooding, and at least maybe 1 to 3 feet, 2 to 4 feet of storm surge in spots. And that looks like it overspreads everybody for Friday night into Saturday. That's the scene here.
Good Friday morning. I'm meteorologist Michael Arenberg with a look at your southeast regional forecast for this Friday. Our next depression or storm lurking off the Carolina coast due to make landfall later in the day. Heavy rain, several inches for coastal North Carolina and upstate South Carolina. And we are looking for high surf and winds could gust past 60 miles an hour in that area as potential tropical cyclone, soon to be a depression or storm, moves onto the immediate coast. Temperatures are going to be nice in the 80s throughout the area behind that storm.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Central and southern Nebraska dealt with severe thunderstorms Thursday. Tornado warnings were part of the package along with hail. Elsewhere in the country, morning dew left clear decorative pearls along this spider web, and the moonrise seemed smiley with this week's weather in Baltimore County, Maryland. Pleasant times before things likely take a turn during the weekend.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
7 years ago, NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission blasted off to an asteroid to collect samples and return them to Earth. After traveling nearly 3.9 billion miles, it's about to deliver that precious cargo right here back on Earth. Emily Gracie spoke to a NASA expert to find out what they are expecting to discover with Sunday's delivery.
Asteroids are these small rocky bodies, and they're pretty much the remnants from solar system formation. And so what they are is pristine examples of the building blocks of the planet. So we study them because we want to understand how the Earth and all of our planets were formed.
7 years this mission has been going on. So can you take me through the 7 years and what's been going on over that time period?
So OSIRIS-REx launched in 2016, and it took us about 2 years for the spacecraft to basically catch up to the orbit of Bennu. So we had to go back by the Earth before we got there. We spent about 2 years mapping out the surface in detail down to the smallest little pebbles, as well as studying the composition and figuring out the best place we might get a sample from. But then we spent a long time actually rehearsing and practicing for this sample return because it is a fairly challenging maneuver we were doing. And because of that, we were able to safely pick up our sample. And we left the asteroid in 2020, and it's actually taken us 3 years to catch back up to the Earth at the right point in its orbit.
I mean, I'm picturing like Armageddon here. Do you have a bunch of people drilling into the asteroid, or how does this work?
So our sampling actually was a really inventive technique. We did not land on the surface. We did not drill into the surface. We had a sample collection head that acted by barely touching the surface and blowing nitrogen to stir up all that dust and soil and push it into our sample collection head.
Tell me what's happening on Sunday.
Okay, so Sunday is a huge day for us. This is NASA's first asteroid sample return. The spacecraft will release the sample capsule. It will enter the Earth's atmosphere. It'll slow down on parachutes, and then it's going to land on the desert floor at the Utah Test and Training Range. And our recovery team will go pick it up and put it into a temporary facility. And then the next day it flies to the Johnson Space Center where the capsule gets opened. Everything gets processed and curated, and some of the samples get sent out for analysis, and the rest of it is actually all archived for future experiments that we haven't even thought of.
Tomorrow morning, just before 3 a.m., we will officially be in the fall season. Let's turn to Kit Alexander, who explains that fall is really all about the sun.
Autumn. It's a time to enjoy with family and friends, trips to corn mazes, pumpkin spice lattes, and of course, the most colorful foliage nature has to offer. The first day of astronomical fall begins on September 23rd. This is the date most of us associate with changes in our environment and cooler temperatures. The significance behind the autumn season has to do with Earth's axis, which is pointed towards the North Star, Polaris, at a 23.4 degree angle. Also of importance, Earth's position relative to the sun. At certain times of the year, the most direct rays of the sun is most pronounced over Earth's subsolar point. This is the area associated with Earth's most direct sun rays. Let's consider autumn, a time of year when the most direct rays of the sun are south of the United States, located on the equator. What does it take for Earth to reach this point? According to scientists, Earth orbits the sun at about 30 kilometers per second. That is around 66,600 miles per hour. So when we reach the fall season, Earth has already traveled 425,174,400 miles. This is the point where day and night are equal once again. Hence the name equinox, referring to the equal night. Less energy from the sun results in a vibrant fall foliage and the cooler temperatures. However you choose to enjoy fall, there is no other time of year quite like it.
And some are calling it the Super Bowl of giant pumpkins. Farmers from across Wisconsin are getting ready for the 5th annual ginormous pumpkin festival, including Shannon Engel, who grew this monster pumpkin right here that is now more than 1,000 pounds. Engel says it can gain up to 25 pounds in a single day, but it's not easy. He says severe weather is the biggest challenge when it comes to growing these giant gourds, but other factors, including bugs, animals, and disease, play a role. Along with folks who run pumpkin patches and apple orchards, folks with corn mazes across the country are getting ready for your visit. Brandon Wharf tells us about the maze at one farm in central New York's Finger Lakes region.
So the paths wind across the 5 acres, many lefts and rights, many wrong turns. There's 20 different maze stations that help solve the riddle of the Cortica jug.
I love it. I'm a football guy, and this year's theme is the age-old rivalry.
Sure is.
The Red Dragons and the Ithaca Blue Bombers.
You got it.
So it's a design of actual football helmets.
Correct. When you get in here, you can get yourself lost for sure.
It's easy to get turned around.
Yes, it is.
I almost got lost. There's a lot more than a corn maze.
We have over 35 attractions here, fun for all ages. And yeah, come on out, get here at 10, stay the whole day. Just being out here together, put your phones down, enjoy some country air, go get lost.
Well, amazingly, we didn't get lost.
We made it.
We made it. That was a lot of fun.
And it's shaping up to be a good week for folks who love to fish as well. Saturday is free fishing day in New York State, and folks can take a shot at hooking a salmon without the cost of a license. This day is also good for businesses. Maggie DeBrogier spent a time in Pulaski, New York to learn how this impacts local fishermen.
Any day of the Salmon River Run will have hundreds out on the river trying to haul in a big catch. This weekend, those numbers will double.
Free fishing weekend is crazy, especially in town where a lot of people can access the river without waders. I mean, it just gets crazy. Like if you've heard the term shoulder to shoulder, that's not an exaggeration. We'll see hundreds of people just like lined up along the river to fish.
Everyone has their own reason why they come back year after year to take their chances with the salmon.
The excitement, the people, the entertainment. But mainly the fish. I mean, if you hook one of these, I don't know if you've ever done it, but if you hook one, you're hooked for life. Just an amazing fight.
No one is more affected by the salmon season than the businesses that rely on the fishermen and their catches. The 6-week run can set them up for the rest of the year.
I always say, like, I'm running a sprint, not a marathon, so it's a very large amount of work into a short amount of time, but within that amount of time, then I get basically my income for the year and then just get to fish a lot the rest of the year.
Another big business in the area is fish cleaning, with multiple stations throughout town.
I've been coming out here for years and cleaning at different stations around the area.
Harold says it's a great way to meet people, but also set him up well financially.
It's like a paid vacation for me. I mean, I don't make a lot, but I come out here and meet everybody, take the money home, live off it for a couple months, and I still work while I'm doing it.
And before we take a short break, some beautiful views of last year's fall foliage in Michigan.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Taking a look at weather across the Midwest as we go through the next few days. We do have some scattered rain across the plains, still staying dry across a lot of the Ohio Valley. As we get into your Saturday, we still have these thunderstorms out across the plains here. Looks good in South Bend with the Buckeyes taking on Notre Dame. Guess who I'm rooting for? By the time we get to Sunday, we're still dealing with some thunderstorms out here across the plains with some rain from that tropical disturbance out to the far, far east.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're starting off a little cool. It's rain cooled out here from Oklahoma back over into North Texas. Everybody else warm and humid, particularly down toward the south. We'll be watching a weak system as it lies across Texas. We'll see a little bit of a dry line to the west. There'll be some scattered showers along the coast, scattered showers to the north. Otherwise, it's going to be another hot summer day. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Friday morning, too. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Last day of summer, and it's a beauty out west. We're going to see lots of sunshine. Portland at nearly 80, the Emerald City, Seattle at 75, and sunny. It's perfect. 96 out of Phoenix, but you can see some thunderstorms rolling through Salt Lake City today. Next weather maker, that area of low pressure pushing through Wyoming and out toward the Dakotas later today. And that's the scene from here.
The National Weather Desk.
How will the weather play a role in this weekend's football games? Here's meteorologist Katie Morgan with this weekend's football forecast.
It's another great week of football matchups, and let's first talk about those college games of the week. Weather always exciting, playing a role. We'll start in UCLA at Utah. This will be in Salt Lake, and really weather looking good here. Lots of sunshine, a high around 68 degrees. Big matchup in South Bend, Indiana. Ohio State at Notre Dame. This will be a night game. Temperature around 74 with a few clouds around. And Florida State at Clemson. Looking pretty good. Sunshine with a temperature around 82. Interesting matchup in New York. The Patriots at Jets on Sunday. Weather may play a role here. Rain and wind due to the disturbance off the coast. Temperatures will be in the mid-60s. Titans at the Browns in Cleveland. Sunshine and 70. And the Bears at the Chiefs in Kansas City, Missouri may run into a few showers here, but temperatures looking pretty good with the mid-70s.
And we'd love to connect with you. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code on the bottom left corner of your screen. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Have a great weekend and enjoy the rest and the start of the fall season. Make it a great Friday, and we'll see you right back here on Monday.